All right, we'll go ahead and get started.
Welcome to the FleetCrew Guide to the Clean Truck Check. My name is Craig Phillips, and I'm the president of FleetCrew.
And I'm Christina, I'm the vice president, and I help with compliance planning.
So FleetCrew keep diesel fleets compliant with California various and at times confusing and grueling clean air regulations. FleetCrew is a California diesel compliance expert that guide and support companies to properly manage and maintain their diesel fleet compliance efforts so that they can avoid costly violations and keep their trucks on the road and reduce any downtime. FleetCrew, working together with you, make our fleets stronger together.
So FleetCrew get it. Carb compliance is confusing and costly, especially when you don't have the tools or the time to educate yourself on all of the different rules and regulations that affect you. So we're actually going to take a look at the new Clean Truck Check regulation. This is today's roadmap. We're going to go through what that new program is, what you need to do, the different reporting and record keeping requirements that you need to do, the new freight contractor and broker responsibilities. We're going to talk about carb audits and inspections. And then if you plan on tackling managing the Clean Truck Check program on your own for your company, we're going to go through some best practices that we advise you. And then if you're going to partner with FleetCrew and maybe outsource all or a portion of managing this compliance, we'll go through how we would do it. So CARB developed this new Clean Truck Check program. It was previously referred to as heavy duty inspection and maintenance, and only this year it was retermed Clean Truck Check. This is an engine and maintenance inspection program that's going to impact every diesel truck over 14,000 pounds coming in and out of California. There has been no previous engine inspection and maintenance program in California. So there is going to be a significant impact to fleets from a budgetary perspective. So what you have to do moving forward is you're going to have to supply periodic testing to the state to show them that your engines are in good working order, that your emission systems are in good working order and intact, and everything is functioning properly. And then if anything needs repairs, they're going to give you a very limited time window to take care of those, to show that you've done everything you can to minimize emissions. So moving forward to operate in the state, you're going to have to basically proactively prove that your trucks are in good working condition. Does this rule apply to you? So this rule, unlike other regulations, applies to most everyone. So if you have a non-gas truck over 14,000 that maybe is registered in another state but comes into the state, you're part of the program. If part of this program is an annual compliance fee, so coming this October, you're going to need to create an account in their new CARB database, upload all of your vehicles to this database, and pay a $30 compliance fee every year for every one of your trucks. In the previous regulations, motorhomes and ag vehicles were excluded. They are no longer excluded. Independent owner operators had been excluded from some of the prior regulations. They are included. And then public utility, school bus, waste, all of those other regulations that are several years old are all now part of this. So you are going to need a report, and you're going to need to provide engine maintenance inspection test to the state. Freight contractors, it is going to be now your responsibility, if you use any freight contractors, to make sure that they're in compliance with this rule. And there are no low use exemptions to this rule like there are in other regulations. Now, if your truck meets one of these, which is an exception, you are exempt. So zero emission vehicles are exempt. A lot of the other ones are very unique situations. So emergency vehicles, if you have, lights and it's active emergency vehicle, you're out. There is a clause about engines being certified to the most stringent NOx standards. They have like a delay, but the last time I looked it up, there actually are no engines on the market that meet this requirement. And then motorhomes registered out of California, if you bring them into California to be used for recreational use, you actually are exempt. But the motorhomes that are registered in California, used for recreational or not, are part of the program. And then gasoline vehicles are exempt because they're already under the smog check program. Here we're going to go through the implementation timeline. So this rule was approved back in 2021, and we're actually approaching phase 2. So phase 1 already started in the beginning of this year, where the state has had
roadside emission.
Well, they've positioned these roadside screening machines. Some are permanent and some are mobile, but basically what they're doing is when your truck drives through this screening device, they're taking a picture of your license plate and they're measuring the PM that's coming out of your tailpipe. If you are considered a high emitter, you're going to receive a letter in the mail asking you to submit some follow-up testing and documentation to prove that your vehicle is not a polluting vehicle. And there's been about 1,500 notices sent out so far this year. Phase 2, starting October 1st, they're going to launch a new CARB database where you're going to do your initial fleet reporting and pay your compliance fees there. The portal actually is starting, it's going to open on October 1st, and then on October 16th, you're going to be able to start paying your compliance fees. And you actually have until the end of the year to get all that done. And then phase 3, which is going to start next year, is where you're actually going to be submitting your compliance testing. You're going to have to proactively submit these results in that new CARB database to show that your truck's in good working order so that you could obtain a truck certificate. A truck certificate is required to renew your DMV registration. The clean truck applicable classes is you're looking at the class 4 and higher. So your Ford F450s and larger.
So these roadside emission monitoring devices are in place, and it looks like they're going to be expanded use. So they are able to determine both PM and NOx output for any of the vehicles that drive through these units. And then the license plate is read, and whoever is the owner will receive a letter from CARB that they have 30 days to have their vehicle inspected and tested and submitted back to CARB before there is any sort of fine or anything incurred. So we are currently helping people who have been receiving these notices to submit, and repairs have normally needed to be made, and then files are sent back to CARB to show that the vehicle is in compliance. So basically, don't be surprised if you get something in the mail and it says notice to submit. We recommend that you contact us and we will be able to come out and diagnose it, tell you what particular repairs need to be made, because it's not everything possible wrong with your truck. It's just the fault codes that relate to the emission system, because that's all that CARB can be responsible for. So we determine which manufacturer indicator light fault codes are there and help make sure that those are the ones that get repaired. And then we're able to take a diagnostic reading after that and submit it to CARB. And hopefully that's the end of that issue with ARB. So CARB also have created a referee enforcement system. In other words, when different people send in their information and say, well, our truck's performing just fine, there's nothing wrong with it, or we fixed it, and CARB look at the information and it doesn't necessarily compute with what they think is correct, they will then inform you to take your truck to one of these referee enforcement sites, who will then inspect and ensure that if there's any tampering or any issue with the truck, that will then sort of give CARB enforcement the ammunition or the information that they need to say that the truck is out of compliance.
Now we're going to talk about the interval testing. So the testing that you can provide to the state could be is going to be a combination of onboard diagnostics, periodic smoke testing, and visual inspections, and the test is dependent on your engineer. You can also supply CARB your test results using telematic devices, dongles, kiosks, or hiring contractors to obtain those scans for you. The purpose of the OBD testing is to confirm that you have no mill-related issues present, and the visual inspection is to confirm that DPF has not been tampered with or deleted. You are going to need to submit records 2 times a year in this program, and then after the 3rd year of the program, CARB have bumped it up to 4 times a year. So you will be submitting test results for each one of your vehicles each quarter. If you fail an inspection, CARB are going to want you to show the repair documentation, work order, and invoices of you repairing your issues. They're going to want you to show what you did to take care of the issue. Once you've passed an inspection, that truck is granted a truck certificate. And in other regulations, if your entire fleet was in compliance, you would get a fleet certificate. That is not the case in this regulation. Every truck is going to have its own truck certificate. And then again, failure to get a truck certificate for one of your trucks will block the ability to renew your DMV registration.
So when it comes to engine maintenance, on the dashboard of all of the trucks now, there's an engine check light, but there's also another light called the malfunction indicator lamp. So when we use the acronym MIL, that light comes on based on CARB specification, and it's all fault codes that have anything to do with emissions. So they could be PM, NOx, or anything that would ensure that the emissions coming out of that engine would not be what the OE specs were. So the important part for those who have been involved with any of the diagnostic fault codes from any of the different OE systems or aftermarket systems is identifying which diagnostic codes actually have triggered the MIL light. And that's something we've been working on for some time now, and we think we can give a lot of assistance in that regard so that the repairs that are needed to be done in a fairly short period of time can be focused on the MIL diagnostic codes.
What about the PSIP program? So there is a PSIP program today, but it will sunset once phase 3 of the Clean Truck Check starts. However, if your engine is 2012 and older, there is a PSIP or opacity test component to your submission. The post DPF opacity standards still remain at less than 5% to pass. And currently, you are to maintain your records for 2 years in case of an audit or a request, then you provide them to CARB. Well, moving forward, you're actually going to supply all of your opacity records to the state in advance. It's no more owner system, and it's not only when requested. Independent owner operators will need to comply with this rule, and testers will need to continue using certified and approved testing equipment and be trained. And then there's an emissions inspection visual form that will go along with the older engines in lieu of the OBD test. Here's a visual representation again. So if your engine is 2012 and older, you're going to do a post-filter opacity test, confirm visually there's no engine check light on the dash, and then have an inspector complete a visual inspection of your truck, engine, and DPF, and they fill out some information. And then if you have a 2013 and newer, you're going to confirm there's no mill light. You're going to do an OBD download to confirm there's no active or permanent emission related codes. And then also provide proof of repairs if you run into a snag. And then zero emission vehicles do not need to do anything. So the timing of inspections, this is where I personally feel that this rule is going to get really hairy for people who are going to manage it on their own. So CARB has decided that your inspection due date is driven on your registration renewal date. So imagine a fleet of 10 trucks, all your trucks have their renewal dates in completely different months. So now you're going to be tracking their biannual and quarterly due dates per truck, which means inspections are going to be due all the time at varying months. And then if your vehicle is not registered in this state but comes into this state, and maybe it's a public or federal truck with an exempt plate, a school bus, IRP, or registered in another state, CARB have decided that your compliance schedule is going to be based on the last digit of your VIN. So if the last digit of VIN is a 0, your due date for your inspections are October and April for the first 3 years. And then after the first 3 years, it's going to be quarterly. And you do have a 90-day window to get these tests done. So in theory, you want to start that test 90 days before your October due date. And just in case there are any repairs that are needed, you ensure that you've given yourself enough time to get the truck repaired, part source, quotes completed, and then retest the truck after all that's been taken care of, so that you are providing CARB a passing test result before your deadline. So in order to be compliant and DMV eligible, you're going to need to register your fleet in the new CARB web portal come October. If you have any outstanding enforcement actions or notice of violations, you need to take care of those within 30 days. You're going to have to pay an annual compliance fee every year for every one of your trucks. That's paid directly to the state. And then if you have any mill-related issues, you take care of those quickly. And you provide all of your periodic emission testing to CARB for every one of your vehicles before the due date. Your driver has some responsibilities too. They may be selected for a roadside inspection. You just want to make sure all your drivers understand that they are going to need to comply, show your registration, driver's license, open up the engine compartment, allow the inspection to take place. CARB have indicated that if you do not allow an inspection to take place, you will be subject to enforcement action and penalties. If you have freight contractors, you are now responsible in confirming that they're following this regulation and also maintaining documentation and records showing that you checked and confirmed that. And then if you work with FleetCrew, well, we're happy to help you with that. You let us know who your contractors are, and we can make sure that they understand the rule and make sure that they're taking care of everything that they should be.
All right, so the time to start planning, what operational changes you're going to have to make to be in compliance with this rule. Here's some processes that you're going to need to think about. What inspection connectivity test methods will your organization use? So there's various ways of connecting up to the truck, various software that you can use to inspect your vehicle. And then, of course, there's software that is specifically required to send data to ARB. And trying to track how will you track the your inspection dates by new truck? And will you complete the engine mill repairs or outsource them? So trying to determine what you're going to do before it actually happens and being well prepared for this. So who's going to facilitate the quotes and organize repair and repair updates? So this is all about keeping your truck inspected on an ongoing basis and having these repairs done for any emission-related issues in a very efficient manner. So your processes may change depending on the branch location. Some locations may be very self-sufficient, and some may, outlying locations may be using vendors that are in the vicinity. So what does that plan look like based on location? And where are you going to store these repair and maintenance documentation? Which staff will get certified and trained on the clean truck rule? Who will complete your reporting and provide test results to CARB? And what happens if a truck does not pass the check and takes a significant amount of time or money to get into compliance? So we're putting together best practices that we believe will be required for the clean truck check. I mean, ideally, from a CARB point of view, they're looking for you to be, this is the sort of lowest standard that they're looking for. They're looking for fleets to be inspecting their truck on an ongoing basis and taking care of any repairs on a very timely basis. But CARB have also mentioned that, well, they're going to have this potential for people to use some GPS systems and constantly send CARB data results. And we would caution against that, mostly because most of our fleet customers want to know about fault codes before A or B know about fault codes, because getting information from them about a problem and then being under the gun to give them the information of what you've done about it just causes more stress and strain than probably is necessary. So we definitely are encouraging our clients to validate any engine fault codes prior to submission and sending CARB clean diagnostic files, and just avoiding all of that excitement. Older trucks still require manual field inspection, not only to do the PSIP, but there's kind of an elaborate inspection to be done to ensure that everything is working and that there is no issue going on with the emission system. So we are encouraging clients to develop a personalized system on how they're going to deal with issues before they actually happen. What fault codes will they repair themselves? What fault codes would go out to a vendor? Which branches are going to do what, when? Who are the responsible people, and who will manage any CARB extensions to dates to try to make sure that there are no violations issued to the fleet. So the program is very time sensitive, and some of the processes that we use today, which are generally after the event, we're going to need to compress that timeline kind of considerably to ensure that that all of these registrations can happen in a timely basis. So basically, that's what FleetCrew are offering, is to do this on your, or together with yourself. There are pieces where we can do parts of the process or all of the process, and it may vary by location, or it may vary by fleet. So the first thing that we're going to be offering to do or work with you is to ensure that all of the registration that is now due between now and the end of the year, that we can get all of those records and report all of those vehicles into the CARB portal, and work with you to ensure that whoever is responsible on your side are educated and knowledgeable about what is going to be needed, where we're going to need to work together, and how we're going to need to work as a team. So all of the trucks are going to be reported. We would personalize all the fleet contacts and various repair responsibilities And then we mirror that information in our FleetCrew IQ software, which is involved with the scheduling of everything moving forward. Working with your team, we'd agree on a repair and communication plan, and this would be personalized by fleet. So exactly how we're going to connect by truck and by location, and that may vary. Ensuring that vehicles are going to be inspected and developing a repair plan for your fleet. Understanding and working with your key contacts to ensure that the repair execution is going to happen. FleetCrew don't see us doing the majority of the repairs. It's either going to be done by your staff or by your current vendors. So it's just making sure that obviously we need to understand that the fault codes that are going to that vendor are going to be repaired, and that after that event, we need to get a clean file to send to ARB. So we'll create the digital records by truck and track and monitor every compliance task and try to keep a closed loop communication process for every truck repair. Doing the inspections, getting the files submitted to ARB on your behalf, following up on repair delays, and ensuring every truck repair is properly documented. And the goal would be to make sure that every truck has its certificate prior to the DMV registration number or date. And if we've submitted files to CARB, track and manage until that's approved. Schedule your next inspection date on an ongoing basis and work with you to ensure that the program doesn't affect your day-to-day operations. So let's get started. We can schedule a consultation, set up an inspection, get your fleet information ready to get entered into the CARB database, and then work together to ensure that your program basically operate as an extension of your operation and be your compliance partner for this program.
Okay, so next steps, if you are ready to move forward and would like to partner with us, you can give us a call. We can start, we could schedule an on-site training, another training with some of your other staff. If you get a notice to submit, we want to make sure that you know that we have several Zippy locations, and all of the mechanics at these locations are certified and authorized testers to deal with those notices that you might receive.
We also have mobile staff that can come out if that's what's necessary to ensure that a clear plan is created pretty quickly to ensure that that notice of that doesn't become a notice of violation. So we hope that we're going to be stronger together and effortly, so that it becomes less effort on your behalf to manage this clean truck program. It is definitely a good idea to have a well-maintained fleet of equipment and have less downtime. So there is some upside to this, but trying to ensure that it doesn't affect your operations is going to be critical. So please, just if you have questions, reach out to us. Send either Christina and I are available to answer any questions. Here's our email. Feel free to just send us an email and we'll respond to your questions. And if you want, we'll certainly be able to talk to you and manage a program together.
All right. Well, we thank you for giving us some of your time to go over the new clean truck regulation. I wanted to see if anyone had any questions.
Unmute.
Well, I think they unmute themselves, right?
Just unmute everybody.
All right. Well, if there's no questions, we thank you for your time. We'll send you a copy of the presentation to you afterwards, so you can review it internally with other people in your team. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.